So nowadays there are a lot of talk about thinking different, thinking outside the box, and we've all read about examples of people who march to a different drummer. But there is a difference between um, someone who is a crazy genius thinking different and someone who's just crazy. Um, and for those of you who are raising kids to um, in teaching them how to think creatively, you have or those of you who wants to improve yourself to think critically and think creatively, you have to know the difference um, between a crazy genius and just being crazy. Uh, so the term think outside the box or thinking different, it's cliche nowadays, and and it's overused. But it is true that it is important to think outside the box. So both the crazy person um, and the crazy genius, they're able to think outside the box. They're not confined within the box. But there's a difference between the plain crazy and the crazy genius, and that is effectiveness. So the crazy genius aims for being effective. They start with aiming for being effective, and they're not bound by the box. They look inside for conventional methods, but they're not confined by convention or tradition. They're able to explore outside the box, but with the aim of being effective. Steve Jobs is a good example. He's effective. All the products that that Apple produced under his leadership, they're all effective. The iPad, the iPod, and in addition to being effective, they're beautiful too. They're beautiful products that people want. Um, the just plain crazy person, on the other hand, um, think outside the box. Um, he also thinks different, except that he thinks different for the sake of being different. He's outside the box just for the sake of being outside the box. Um, he's not very effective. And one perfect example that I could think of is the very first Apprentice series on NBC. There was this character Sam, and in the beginning they were thinking, okay, this guy's crazy, but maybe he's good. He's either a genius or he's just crazy. And at the end, he proved to be just crazy. He wasn't very effective. He was different for the sake of being different. And very often, it's very hard to tell, at least initially, the difference between a crazy genius and a crazy person. But if you look long enough to see whether they're effective or not, what they're looking at, what they're able to produce, then you will be able to tell the difference between a crazy genius or just plain crazy. So the lesson is aim for effectiveness, but be able to look inside the box as well as outside the box. Look for methods inside the box as well as outside the box. I just want to quickly mention a third type of person, which I probably don't need to mention, but I'll mention it anyway because they're out there everywhere, and that's the conventional but effective person. And they're everywhere in the workforce, everywhere. They're effective, but they're confined by tradition or confined by convention, and so although they're effective, they're not exploring a lot of methods that are outside the box, or that are out there. So and I think we've all seen them everywhere.